What's up, everybody? This week I'm joined by Sarah as we take a look at an album that served two purposes: grieving and artistic change. Hall's 1998 album, Celebrity Skin. That and a whole lot more is to come on this week's episode of the 90s podcast. Welcome to the show. Hey everybody, welcome back to the 90s podcast right here on the Becaus Maybe Network. Hope you're doing well today, and I am joined by the wonderful Sarah. Sarah, how are you doing today?
I am fabulous, and I'm so happy that we're here talking about one of my favorite topics.
Yes, the favorite topic this month is this. Let's say this month, this season, we've had a male patron saint already on the podcast, and now we have a female patron saint.
Yes.
So we're going to be talking about Courtney Love and
Hall, Celebrity Skin.
Yes. We've done the thing where we talked about both patrons at the same time with Man on the Moon, and then we've talked about Liar Liar this year, and we've got some stuff coming up. But we thought we'd share some more love with Courtney Love, if you pardon the pun, and talk about an album that you said yourself was not like the others.
Oh yeah, there was a big. I do believe the general consensus on all. I'm gonna date myself real quick.
Go ahead.
When this album came out, I was still on Usenet. So, once upon a time, children, we would go in and not only go to websites, but before there was like Reddit or 4chan or anything like that with massive boards and whatever, there was this thing called Usenet, and you would go like, in this case, it was like alt.fan. Courtney Love. Whereas now it would be like you'd go on Reddit and go like, r/ whatever. But back in the day, that's how that was set up. So, the general consensus on Usenet was, what kind of Belinda Carlisle crap is this? Initially. But, then once after the first 24 hours of everybody digesting everything, it was like, okay, this is awesome.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I listened to this album yesterday to refamiliarize myself with it, because it's not an album that I listen to. Kind of like the Alanis Morissette episode that we did. I am not the target demographic for this, so it's not something that was in my wheelhouse. Plus, in 1998, I was still firmly in the Be Here Now was a great album kind of mentality. That was in there. So I'm not particularly the target market,
right?
But it's a very, very contradictory album, and what I mean by that is its smile doesn't match its eyes.
Right. Well, also, this is her grieving album.
Yeah.
This album is all the songs that she wrote after Kurt passed, and I don't care really how you feel about Courtney. The fact of the matter is, and there are some of you who believe very strongly against her, and I'm not debating all that, but at the end of the day, her husband passed, and she had a young child. There was trauma associated with all of that, plus all the custody issues with Francis that went on forever. There was the getting sober for her acting career, resurgence, all that stuff. Yeah. So she had a lot going on.
Well, this album was released in 1998 on the 8th of September.
Yep.
I'm still reading these dates British for some reason.
No.
And as it should be, but because put in the day before the month before the year, put in the thing that changes at the beginning, just doesn't make sense. Now I got to 9 in the US Billboard charts, which is a pretty good showing.
Yeah.
But it only got to number 11 in the UK charts, which, considering they had a big presence for the last album, Live Through This, it kind of went down a little bit.
Well, yeah, but you also it's not it's not the same kind of album.
True, and there's a 4-year gap and all the controversy that went along with it.
And radio was different then too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It only sold about 1.5 million copies, which I was shocked at when I read, because I thought this would have done at least, 3, 4, 5, but it only did 1.5 million.
Right.
Considering one of Hall's most popular songs is on this record in terms of mainstream appeal, it kind of shocked me a little bit when I read that number.
I could see that.
It was produced by Michael Beinhorn and a few other people, which we'll get to here in a minute, but they didn't want credit as producers, or they didn't get credit as producers, I should say. It was released on DGC, and it's an alternate rock, power pop, post-grunge, pop rock. And that, I think, put a lot of people, set a lot of people off, was the fact that the tunes, at least, were poppy.
Yes. There was definitely, it was definitely a new direction. But there's also debate that eventually Nirvana might have circled around there too, because Foo Fighters did, in a way. Because, and you got to remember, however you feel, Kurt and Courtney wrote a lot of things together.
Yeah.
And now I'm not saying Kurt wrote this. Of course, most of them were written after he passed. But the thing about it is they were heavy influencers on each other. And Kurt used to say all the time that he loved the Beatles, Lennon and McCarthy, where, you've got the ones that, where you've got, the melody is very pop, and then it's just belting it out.
Yeah.
So, which this follows too. So we could have seen a natural progression this way.
Especially if Dave Grohl felt more comfortable with his songwriting at the time. But so let's go into right. We did live through this, so we know all the background to live through this, right?
Right.
If you haven't listened to Live Through This episode, go check it out. It was on last season.
Okay.
But we're starting after the Live Through This tour ended in 1995. Okay, Hall decided to step back, with Courtney Love kind of went into acting, and she did The People vs. Larry Flint, which is another episode we've covered. Go check that out. And she was awesome in that movie.
Yes.
She really, really was. I mean, now, some people will say it wasn't much of a stretch for her acting ability playing, an exotic dancer. But you still have to have emotion and range and everything like that. And she killed that role.
Yes, she did.
Pardon the expression.
Oof. Yes, she did.
Eric Earl Anderson did a one-off project called Rodney and the Tube Tops through 1996 and 1997. Melissa, you're going to have to pronounce this for me because I'm going to get it wrong. Guested on Rick Ocasek's Troublizing. And Patty Shamel did outside sessions for like Schoolhouse Rock Rocks.
I loved that album.
And just, used her services as a session drummer.
Yes. Patty's amazing.
Yes.
So, after all this, the band regrouped to write, but early material, quote, wasn't very good per Love. They tried writing stints around the U.S. They did New Orleans, Nashville, Memphis, and they cut some early demos there. Love steered the record towards a unifying California album concept, Los Angeles, Hollywood as a metaphor for the American dream. She dedicated, I still remember this off the top of my head, it's dedicated to the water department of Los Angeles and everyone who ever drowned.
That's
in the liner
heavy.
notes.
That's very heavy.
I know, right? But Michael Beinhorn from Soundgarden, etc., was hired as a producer. The sessions ran roughly 8 to 9 months and were unusually meticulous, polished for Hole.
Yeah, because recording kicked off in April 1997 in Conway Recording Studios and stretched across multiple studios across LA, New York, and London. So from April 97, they were recording until February 1998. And wouldn't you know, Baldy was there.
Yes. Billy Corgan was initially floated as executive producer after Brian Eno was considered, but instead contributed as a songwriter-arranger later in the process. And this will also make sense because Melissa ended up replacing DRC in the Pumpkins. And again, kind of tagging along into the genre shift. This is also when Courtney entered her Versace era.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So,
and at the time, Smashing Pumpkins were getting, I don't want to say lighter, but they weren't as heavy, screamy.
Oh, yeah, this is melancholy era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's another shift in
the culture zeitgeist,
in tonality, because, we'll go through the track by track here in a minute, but every lyric on this album was written by Courtney.
Yes.
But every tune was a collaborative effort between either Billy Corgan or, the whole band came together and wrote stuff. So it's kind of very REM again. I said that last time with Alanis, but it's very REM. Know? Courtney's lyrics fit the tunes rather than the tunes fitting Courtney's lyrics. That makes sense.
So, Love ended up sending these early recordings to Corgan that they had recorded in the different areas, and he joined in studio for about 12 days, pushing the songcraft, key changes, phrasing, etc., and ended up sharing instrumental writing credits on 5 tracks. The lead title single, "Celebrity Skin," features a Corgan originating riff/arrangement. His broader influence on the album's melodic architecture is widely noted in retrospective. Yes. Now, here's the part. Remember what I said, what all of our initial response was? Okay. Additional outside co-writers include Jordan Zardonzi from Blinker the Star and Go-Go's guitarist Charlotte Caffey, who is credited on Reasons to Be Beautiful. Yeah. So, and the Go-Go's, the band Belinda Carlisle was in, and there is definitely a Go-Go's feel to the album.
I can see it.
Yeah.
So, sonically, the band aimed to deconstruct the California sound. Kind of like the Doors, the Beach Boys, the Byrds, so on and so forth, into a luminous power pop sheen rather than a grunge abrasion. Mm-hmm. So they wanted to take down the sound by doing the sound. That makes sense?
Right.
So, so looking at, we looked in the Alanis episode at the gear and stuff like that. The record leaned into layered guitars, old Tom amps, multiple elite mixers, before Ted Jensen mastered it. Now, I don't know who Ted Jensen is and what his work is, so I apologize. I didn't have time to pull his discography up on
You're good.
The interwebs before I got it.
Okay.
Now, this is where things get a little slimy. Because, you can't have an album in this era without a little slime attached to it. Patty Shamel played on the writing demos and composed the drum parts. But Barnholm pushed to replace her in the final recordings with session drummer Dean Costanovo to cut the drum tracks. Shamel later described the sessions as psychologically punishing, the endless takes and being psyched out. This triggered her exit from the band, as she detailed in interviews, the 2011 documentary Hit So Hard, and her memoir.
Right.
The decision basically created a rift between her and the band. I think that would do for anything.
Yeah.
Shamel is credited on the album, but not a single drum track features her. And she said, you know what, if I'm not on the record, why do you want me to tour with you?
Right.
So Samantha Maloney of Shift was hired as the live drummer for the cycle, and she does all the live work and the videos and the photo shoots and so on.
And Sam's cool too, yeah. Love considered other album titles, example Holy War, but settled on Celebrity Skin, a name she had been bandying around since the mid-90s, and said that the title track poem was influenced by T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland.
The writing momentum improved once California concept kicked in, but the band also did significant work in London towards the end, with the NME noting that the final London sessions were in early 1998. So it gave them, if it's finished in April, it gave them 4 months to, mix it, master it, press it, and so on and so forth.
Yes. And here's the thing. Retrospectives consistently frame Celebrity Skin as a deliberate pivot. It's clean, hook-forward, LA-obsessed pop rock, and crafted via heavy pre-production, outside co-writers, and exacting studio control.
So basically what they're trying to say is that this album was created like just another pop album.
Yes.
But with songwriters. With the songwriters in the band. It wasn't like Simon Cowell going, you shall sing this.
Right.
Or else, they had a little bit of creative freedom. But, again, going back to Patty Shamel for a minute, I've heard of stories of bands firing members of the band and, letting people go and stuff like that. But it's cruel to get somebody to record the demos.
It is.
And then say, by the way, your drumming is not good enough, I want to replace you.
We all know I love me some Courtney, but this was not being a girl's girl. This was definitely if you have an issue with somebody, that's fine. If something is not being done to your standards, that's fine. But you tell them then. Yeah. You let it be known then. You don't go behind and do that.
No.
So
I mean, she worked on the album. She drummed the whole album, and then they replaced the drums.
And wrote all the drum tracks, and then somebody else played them. That's messed up.
Also, you know, I'm going to go to Oasis for a minute. They could have done it the Oasis way, right? When they recorded Definitely Maybe. And they were trying to Bring It On Down. And Tony McCarroll could not get the drumming right.
Right.
So in front of Tony McCarroll, they brought in a session drummer to drum the track. And the session drummer couldn't get it right. So Noel Gallagher said, screw this, I'm going to do it myself. And he couldn't get it right. And at the end, Tony McCarroll was so pissed off that he sat behind the drum set and said, give me one more chance, and knocked it out the park. You know, so if they'd have just tried to, I don't say tried to motivate her, she would have done better.
Right.
But, you know, there was ways to do it, and
I get that we weren't there, and there may be, you know...
We want to hear one side of the story.
Right. We're only discussing one side of the story. But just on paper, that was not a cool move.
Yeah, and nothing has been contradicted either, which makes it easier to believe the one side of the story.
Well, we've read. But go ahead.
So, anyway, the album was Courtney Love on lead vocals and guitar, Eric Erlandson on guitar, Melissa Aftermore on bass and backing vocals, and as we mentioned, Paddy Shamel is credited on drums, but Dean Costronovo is actually the drummer, even though he's uncredited. Billy Corgan plays bass guitar on tracks 3 and 12. You got Craig Armstrong and David Campbell, who arranged the strings on the album that were used in the studio.
Right.
And then you've got a whole bunch of production people that I'm not going to go through.
Yes.
Not because of Tom or anything like that, but I mean, you know.
Yeah.
Not all of them have major work, so I'm going to skip that for this album.
All right, so let's go. Ready?
What we're going to do this time, right, is because, you know, the other albums that we've discussed have been written by one person or a whole collaborative effort for every song. This one has got so many different writers for so many different songs. We're gonna mention who wrote the tune, but again, all the lyrics were written by Courtney.
Right.
So we're gonna start off with the title track.
So, title track, Celebrity Skin, which is written by Courtney, Eric Erlandson, and Billy Corgan. So, Corgan provided the main guitar riff. So make me over. Yeah. All right. The song references literary works such as Dante Gabriel Rossetti's poem, A Superscription, and Shakespeare's The Merchant of Venice with the line Pound of Flesh.
Yes.
It critiques the superficiality of celebrity culture and the personal cost of fame.
Which is something that she was dealing with heavily.
Mm-hmm. It did reach number 1 on the Billboard Modern Rock Tracks chart.
Yep.
The music video features the band performing amidst Hollywood imagery, emphasizing the song's satirical take on stardom. Oh, Make Me Over, I'm All I Wanna Be, reflects the desire for reinvention inherent in the pursuit of fame.
Yes.
And if you might recognize this song, if nothing else, because it was on the American Pie soundtrack.
Yes. So, a good way to open the album, in the sense of it's a powerful song. Mm-hmm. But it goes to show that, you know, it sets the tone for the album, right?
Right.
And one of the things is like I've said before, the tune does not match the lyrics.
Right.
Which makes you think this is, you know, and a lot of stuff did in 1998, you know, and around that time. Like, Third Eye Blind with Semi Charmed Life, you know. It was happy, you know, it was bouncy and everything like that, and it was talking about his crystal meth addiction.
Yeah, there was a lot of, you know, dichotomies going around that time.
Yeah.
So
the next track on the album is called Awful. Mm-hmm. So this showcases a pop-punk melody with upbeat tempos and contrasting with its critical lyrics. It addresses the commodification of youth culture and the music industry's exploiting of young artists. I don't know where that word came from. I don't know how I typed that word without really knowing what it meant, but that's what the research said.
It made them a commodity.
Yes.
Yes. So.
No, I'm just surprised that I wrote it. It highlights the loss of authenticity in mainstream music and the empirical nature of trends, which is kind of more prevalent now than it was then, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Peaked at number 13 on the US Alternative Songs chart, and the music video depicts fans idolizing the band, underscoring the song's commentary on celebrity worship. They don't know how to break all the girls like you points to the industry's manipulative tactics.
They know how to break all the girls like you.
Sorry, what did I say?
You said they don't know.
Oh, sorry. My apologies. And it's even written like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I forgot to mention at the beginning of the track, this was written by Courtney Love, Eric Erlandson, Melissa Aftermore, and Patty Schemmel. So, you know, with a good collaborative effort.
Right.
But again, Courtney wrote, you know, it's like having Twinkle Twinkle Little Star with corn lyrics, you know?
Right. Okay, so next is Hit So Hard, which is written by Courtney, Billy Corgan, and Eric Erlandson. It features a haunting melody with layered guitars and a steady drum beat. It reflects on personal struggles, possibly alluding to drummer Patty Schemmel's experiences. Explores themes of vulnerability, addiction, and the impact of fame on personal relationships. Why'd You Put the Gun to My Head suggests feelings of betrayal and self-destruction. Okay, y'all. Again, this album is her post-Kurt album.
Yes.
There's some stuff on this album. So there, you know.
We'll get to my thoughts on that when we get done with track by track, because I have a little bit to say on that.
Okay.
And you already alluded to it earlier, but I want to A, reiterate, and B, you know, pontificate.
Right. All right.
So the next track is Malibu.
Love this song.
It is basically California. I mean, the only difference is the Red Hot Chili Peppers didn't write it. It was co-written by Billy Corgan and depicts the themes of escaping and healing, possibly referencing Kurt Cobain's time in rehab in Malibu. It balances the desire for redemption and seductive pull of destructive behaviors. It was nominated for the Best Rock Vocal Performance by a Duo or Group at the 2000 Grammy Awards. That kind of is a little weird for me because I thought it would have been out of the timeline, unless the single was released in 2000.
The single was released.
Okay.
Oh, the single was released after, remember, the award season is at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
So the single was released in 99 after the previous year's awards.
I got you.
So, yeah.
I got you. Because I was thinking a song from 98. Man, that's a large
right? No,
window.
Yeah, no.
It showcases the surreal beachside imagery with aligning with the song's themes of escape and illusion. Lyrics like Crash and Burn, All the Stars Explode Tonight symbolizes both the destruction and the fleeting nature of fame. And, you know, a lot of the people that came from that scene, right, did not want to be famous, so to speak. They just wanted to make music, or they wanted to do their art, right?
Courtney did not. Courtney wanted to be famous. Courtney, I mean, she actually did the
She's an actress first.
Well, no, not even so much that. Before she was an actress, she wanted to be famous. She was on Andy Warhol used to have a
15 Minutes of Fame.
Yeah. Public access show in New York. Courtney, that's what she wanted. So,
well, I wasn't saying just Courtney. I'm saying most of the people from that scene didn't want fame. They wanted to do their art.
Well, I get you. Yeah.
Okay. So, you know, she didn't handle it well, though, did she?
Yeah. I mean, yes and no. I mean, there's something to be said about that. But, again, you have to look at origin stories. And we've pontificated on this before. So, but...
We're using all the $10 words today.
I know, right? I know. She could have handled it worse. She could have definitely handled it better. But, yeah.
And, yeah.
Yeah.
So, the next track, Sarah.
The next track is Reasons to Be Beautiful. It's written, now this one's a lot. It's written by Courtney, Eric, Melissa, Jordan Zidonzi, and Charlotte Caffey of the Go-Go's. It combines aggressive guitar riffs with melodic verses, creating a dynamic soundscape. It delves into the themes of loss and mourning, potentially addressing the death of Kurt. Explores the search for meaning amidst personal tragedy and the pressure to maintain appearances. So, Love hangs herself with the bed sheets in her cell. Invokes imagery of despair and confinement.
Yes. Now, let me clarify something before we go any further, okay? I got the information from these songs from a couple of different sources. You know, there was interviews with the band. You know, songmeaning.com, which is a fan, fan theories. A lot of the fan theories hit the nail on the head, So it's if you listen to this going, well, hang on, that's not what it's about. This is what I found in my research. So
right,
you can come to me in the comments, or send us an email and tell us what we got wrong, and I will correct it. Because I like to be as accurate as possible. So, excuse me. The next song is a song called "Dying," and it's a slow and melancholic track with minimal instrumentation, highlighting the raw emotion in Courtney Love's vocals. It expresses feelings of emptiness and the toll of living in the public eye. It addresses the eternal decay that can accompany external success and the isolation of fame. Lyrics like "You're dying" "You're dying to me" underscores the existential yearning for purpose.
It's yeah, that one's a toughie.
Yeah, it is a tough one.
I think there's more to that. That is definitely, there's some Kurt references in that one. So go back and listen and tell us what you think. So speaking of, the next two tracks are definitely Kurt influenced.
Yes.
Use Once and Destroy, written by Courtney, Eric, Melissa, and Patty. It features a gritty, distorted guitar sound with a driven rhythm.
Yes.
It comments on disposable relationships and the fleeting nature of connections in the celebrity world. Critiques the culture of using people for personal gain and discarding them afterward. I Went Down to Rescue You suggests a savior complex intertwined with exploitation. I think I think that's a very light way of looking at it. I think it's definitely way deeper than that.
Yeah.
So, I think it's also, if you listen to the lyrics, it's, I tried my best to get you, to fix you, to make it better. And it can definitely be about I think it's twofold.
Okay.
I think it can be about, the culture of using people for personal gain and discarding them afterward. But what happens when you use somebody and then discard yourself?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
All right, the next track is personally, again...
Oof.
What?
It's hard to listen to.
It's hard to listen to, but in my opinion, it is probably one of the best songs that Hall ever did. And it's my favorite that they ever did.
Yeah, this one is
Northern Star.
Yeah, and this is definitely oof.
Yeah, it's very, very emotional, very, very raw. It's a ballad-like track with ethereal guitar and guitar tones with introspective layers, right? It reflects a longing for guidance and stability amidst chaos. Its metaphors explore the search for a constant anchor in the world of fame, and not just the world of fame too, but in her personal life as well, right? This is definitely about Kurt. Not two ways about it.
Yeah.
And not only is it about Kurt, it's very, very, I don't want to say Pumpkins-esque, but it does sound like a Smashing Pumpkins song, right? With the drums, when the drums kick in and everything like that. But the raw emotion in the singing.
Yeah.
We talked about it a couple of weeks ago in the Alanis Morissette episode, right? This should have been done, after it was written, rather than waiting a couple of months to get it sorted out, because getting the raw emotion out of everything.
Yeah, but if it had been that would have made it even rawer.
True.
And I don't know if I could. I mean, I can. This song guts me as it is.
Yeah.
Especially, when you get to the end and she's just wailing.
Yeah.
And it's yeah.
It's a beautiful song.
It
really,
is.
really is.
It is.
And it's, the composition is fantastic. It's, I used to be able to play it. My guitar playing has gone off the rails in the last couple of years, and that's my fault. But I used to be able to play this. My fingers don't move right anymore. But, I mean, yeah, it's probably the most emotional song on the album, and this song gives the album an extra point in my rating.
Well,
without this song, it drops from what it is to what it could be.
Well, here's the thing, okay? Say what you want about... Okay, Kurt and Courtney definitely did not have the healthiest of relationships.
No.
But they did have a very codependent relationship, yes. Right? She needed to be needed, and he needed mothering. I mean, it just is what it was. Having said all that, when you are in an extremely codependent relationship, and that other person's being is what, is how you guide your life. Everything is based off of that, and it plays off. And like I said, it wasn't healthy, but that person is gone. Your guide is gone. Your Northern Star, the thing that anchors you is gone, and you're just adrift.
Yeah. And
that, I mean... And she was waiting for her Northern Star, and it just didn't. Yeah.
Yeah. This, like I said, this is the most emotional song on the album, and she does sound lost.
Yeah. It's a toughie. And so this next song, "Boys on the Radio," it actually has origins. If you've heard Hole Unplugged, there's a song "Sugar Coma," and so there's a lot of the same lyrics that are removed. That basically Sugar Coma evolved into Boys on the Radio, which is weird because Sugar Coma was, at the time it was written, was like Northern Star. It was very raw and painful, and then it evolved into this jangly, upbeat song with a catchy melody. It was written by Courtney and Eric and Melissa. Again, jangly guitar riffs, catchy melody, pop sensibility with a rock edge. It reflects on the fleeting nature of fame and the way popular culture idolizes and discards musicians.
Yeah.
There's also, back in the day, it was supposed to have been written after a short dalliance with Gavin Rossdale. So he was the boy on the radio. So she was already doing, supposedly, my memory is not always the greatest on this, but Sugar Coma existed, and she wrote that. I'm surprised. I thought Stipe, did he help write Sugar Coma? If so, he should have gotten a credit, because there's, I don't know. This is a thing. I had to go back and look, but and for those who don't remember, there was a rivalry in the late 90s, mid to late 90s. There was a thing with Gavin Rossdale and Courtney Love and Gwen Stefani, which is how we got BANANAS. Because that song was Courtney Talk Smack, and then that's when Gwen wrote Holla Back Girl about Courtney. So, yeah, there's a history. There's everything is related. But it was really weird seeing how Sugar Coma evolved into Boys on the Radio. But so it's nostalgia for lost youth, reflecting on how fame changes relationships and personal identity. There's more to that. Boys on the Radio, they crash and burn, which alluded to the rise and fall of rock stars. Some interpretations suggest it could be a tribute to Kurt. Yes. Again, this is some of the research that John did. If you listen to Sugar Coma and you go back and she dedicated it to Stipe. He didn't help write it. She dedicated it to Stipe. Sorry, brain fart here. But it's got some lyrics that if you take it out of if you just read the lyrics and take it away from that tune, it's like, wow. But the song is praised for its melodic hooks and introspective lyrics, showcasing a softer side of Hole's music.
And it was a palate cleanser, for lack of a better term.
Yes.
Because Non-Star drained you, this one kind of brought you back up again, a little bit.
Yes.
Next song is Heaven Tonight, which was written by Courtney Love and Earl Erlandson. Eric Erlandson, excuse me, Earl Erlandson. I'm having a morning, yo. It's a dreamy, almost ballad-like song with a somber and ethereal feel. It speaks about the longing and loss, with an almost wistful acceptance of... let me start that again. It speaks about the longing and loss with an almost wistful acceptance of fate. So it kind of, in the grieving process, when you've done your bargaining and your anger and your pleading, the kind of acceptance,
Right.
The intersection of beauty and tragedy, hinting the idea of escaping pain through dreams and or death. The repeated lyric of Heaven Tonight captures a sense of yearning for peace or release.
Yes.
It uses softer guitar melodies compared to the heavier tracks on the album, and it is an emotional song.
Right.
I don't know much more about it than that, so...
Well, also I want to interject here.
Go.
If you want to see a natural progression of how we got from Live Through This to Celebrity Skin, you can go and... Because you got Live Through This, and then you've got the Unplugged, right? But you actually make a pit stop into Gold Dust Woman from the Crow 2 soundtrack.
Okay.
So, because it's that perfect in-between polished between the two. So you can kind of see the arch, like how we got
to this
from
album.
Here to here. Right. So next is Playing Your Song. I love this one. It's more raw, and I love the raw whole stuff.
Sounds like older Hole.
Yes. So it's written...
I tried to save you, but you were smiling. I'm sorry.
This one almost, it's more... If Spectre had produced some of the Pretty on the Inside stuff, you might have gotten Playing Your Song.
Okay.
So you've got Courtney, Eric, and Melissa who wrote it. It's a raw punk-inspired track with aggressive guitar riffs and intense vocals. It addresses betrayal and frustration, possibly targeting the music industry or personal conflicts.
There's that.
Yeah. Standing up against manipulation and false narratives, reclaiming one's own story. Yes, because remember, this is post-Kurt. Remember how much crap she got, and still even now gets, but especially then. So you're owning it. It's my story. You're playing your song, but does your song make any sense? Questions authenticity and purpose. It's lauded for its punk energy, reminiscing of the band's earlier grunge roots. Yes, again, like I said, it's, it could have been, if Phil Spector produced Pretty on the Inside, we could have gotten Playing Your Song.
This is her response, from what you just said, this is her response to all the negativity that was surrounding her at the time.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, a lot of bands and artists, when they get their negativity, they put it into song. I remember in 2001, the Stereophonics had an article written about them, and they were told they had just enough education to perform. And so they wrote that into a song called Mr. Rider, and named the album Just Enough Education to Perform as kind of a clapback. So the final track on the album is called Petals. It's a melancholic, almost dirge-like song that closes the album on a haunted note.
Yeah.
It deals again with the theme of loss, disillusion, and emotional toll of fame. The metaphor of petals falling represents beauty fading away, possibly hinting at friendships lost and the disintegration of the band's unity. Okay. That makes sense. The sky was made of amethyst is a poetic line that blends natural beauty with a sense of something precious slipping away. It's a poignant farewell of the band's wilder days and a reflection on the changes they've gone through.
Okay, I'm going to interject.
Interject.
So, yes, it's a throwback, but The Sky Was Made of Amethyst is also a throwback to a song on Live Through This. And if I'm not mistaken, or it's Violet. But I don't remember if that's one of the ones that Kurt helped with or was around when she wrote or not. So, with something precious slipping away, I mean, it's the song is, tear the petals off of you, make you tell the truth. It's why didn't you talk to me? Why didn't you, why did you lie? Why did you run away? Why did you go? I mean, it's very much in that. It's trying to reconcile what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's the album track by track, and I'm going to say something here in a minute. I remember putting that information on our YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. The whole debate, did Kurt ghostwrite the album?
Lordy. Yeah.
And it got downvoted to oblivion.
Right.
Because I suggested that Kurt Cobain did not ghostwrite the album. And people weren't happy about that, I guess. And
again, Nevermind sounds more like Pretty on the Inside than Live Through This sounds like Bleach. Yeah. And both of those albums were written before they met the other one. So do with that information what you will. Listen, if you have two prolific songwriters in the house together, they're obviously going to play off each other and they're going to influence each other. It's what they do.
Yeah.
So, and if somebody is sitting in their kitchen, strumming on their guitar, trying to work through something in their head, it's not outside the realm of possibility for another musician in the house to go, hey, that sounds good. Why don't you, tune that up to, whatever, or how about that if you're stuck on that lyric,
put it this way.
Well, put it this way. That's just what you do. Yeah. I mean, it's natural. So to say that he absolutely never had anything to do is and that's
asinine.
It's asinine because we're not saying that. But again, Nevermind, Heart, In Utero especially sounds way more like Live Through This than Live Through This sounds like Bleach or anything like that was done before they met. Do with that what you will.
Well, I'll say it. When they were together, it sounds like he was more influenced by her than she was influenced by him.
Yes.
That's
at
what
least,
you're trying to say.
At least musically.
Yeah. So, I mean, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No. It's what you do.
Here's the thing, right? In Utero, because okay, look. It's hard to talk about Courtney Love without talking about Kurt Cobain, right? We've discussed this in the Oasis episodes and the Blur episodes. It's hard to talk about one in 95 and 96 without the other, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's really, really hard to put that aside, but at the same time, in my opinion, In Utero was not a good album. And it was designed that way, right? It's not like,
Kurt was tired.
Kurt was tired, and, some of the songs he wrote for that album were...
Right.
I don't want to say going through the motions, but here's a song for a song's sake. It's not that great, but oh well. Now, it did have some really, really good stuff on there. Right. I'm not saying it's all terrible, right? But, that was a punk album.
Well, and then again, if you want to add another layer to it, I don't know who all has seen Montage of Heck, which is the documentary that Francis put together. That encapsulated interviews and home movies and all this stuff about Kurt's life. There's a lot of home movies of Kurt and Courtney from back in the day, right? Which are a little disturbing. And then you're like, who took all those? I mean, there's like, they're just acting like nobody else is in the house. Who took all those things?
Yeah.
Well, it was Eric. Eric was staying with them at the time.
Yeah.
So you've got another musician in the house.
So
it's all, I mean, and so you may want to say, well, Courtney never had any influence on Kurt. Okay, fine. We'll play devil's advocate. Okay, if it wasn't Courtney, it was Eric.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, whatever. You had three musicians because Eric was there long enough or around enough. He made lots of home movies of Kurt and Courtney.
Yeah.
So
that's that's the thing, right? And Kurt Cobain is rightly lauded as a musical genius, right? Mm-hmm. Nevermind is a great album, and when he put his mind to it, when he wasn't writing radio-friendly unit shifters, right? When he actually put effort into the songs and were not trying to, he was a master songwriter.
Yes.
And he was a very, very good player. I don't buy the whole he's one of the greatest guitarists of all time. He had a similar amount of talent to somebody like, Graham Coxon, who was never in these lists. Does Graham Coxon deserve to be in these lists? Possibly. But, he's a mid-level talent, right? In terms of guitar playing. He's not a Slash, right?
Right. But he wasn't trying to be either.
No, he wasn't trying to be either. So he's rightly lauded as that, right?
Right.
And even the whole in the industry had a bigger buzz about them, they were always seen as, oh, that's Kurt's wife. She's just riding on his coattails. Even though they had...
Which is such BS.
Yeah. People have changed the narrative on that. And look, I'm not saying Courtney Love is a saint, right? There's reasons why...
Oh, God, no.
There's reasons why she has certain relationships with people and doesn't have relationships with other people, right? That's not what I'm saying. I'm not trying to glorify everything that she did, right? But at least in her career, she was never taken as seriously as maybe she should have been after the death of Kurt Cobain.
Right.
She is just as good of a songwriter as he was.
Yes.
She's just as good as a musician as he was.
Yes. Absolutely.
So, it's that's one thing. That's what I was going to say earlier. That's one part I don't want to say feel sorry for her in a diddums kind of way, right? But I do kind of feel for her in the sense that she doesn't get the credit that she deserves.
That's a shadow she's never been able to get out from underneath.
And she never will get out of it.
Mm-mm.
And I mean, this album proved something that Nirvana didn't or couldn't do at the time. Change sounds.
Yeah. And
not just change sounds, but change sounds well.
Right.
Because a lot of people change their sounds and it comes off as awful.
Right.
Jewel, for example.
Yeah, intuition side, yes.
Yeah. So, and there are some people who change sounds for the sake of it and it doesn't come out as good and they go scuttling back to what made them, popular to begin with. Again, I've mentioned them a few times, but that is Oasis. They tried changing their sound on Shoulder Giants. It didn't work because the songs weren't there.
Right.
And they went back to the, traditional guitar sounds. So, we've only got a couple of minutes left, so let's get this going. The reception of the album, critics widely praised the album's polished, hook-driven sound, especially the title track and the move away from Live for This raw grunge sound. Mm-hmm. Outlets like Rolling Stone and NME highlighted the production value and the strong melodies of the song.
So praise for the songwriting and the California concept was abundant. Reviewers noted the sharp lyricism and thematic focus on Hollywood and fame. Los Angeles Times praised Love for capturing the myth and poison of California life in pop form. While many welcomed the cleaner direction, some critics felt the sheen came at the expense of the raw urgency that made Live Through This powerful. Spen and the Village Voice in particular said it lacked some visceral punch.
I disagree with that.
Well, if they didn't take, again, the rest of us, we listen, and that after that first listen to, you're like, oh, wow. But then when you listen again, and then by the time you get to that, halfway through that second and into the third, you're like, my God, this is a masterpiece.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Celebrity Skin was universally singled out as the album's strongest cut in radio play and the MTV play. Single reached number 1 on the modern rock charts, and it's Hole's biggest U.S. hit to date.
Right.
And probably will be their biggest hit.
Right. The album earned Hole 2 Grammy nominations in '99, Best Rock Album and Best Rock Performance by a Duo or Group for Celebrity Skin. It also appeared on several year-end Best of '98 lists, cementing its critical success.
So I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10.
Yes.
And part of the reason why is, again, I'm not the target audience.
Okay.
But as I said in the Alanis Morissette episode, I can recognize a good song when I see it.
Right.
I don't have any opinion on the album that I haven't given already.
Right.
So Sarah, what's your opinion and your rating?
It's a 10 out of 10.
Okay.
I think in order to fully understand it, you need to go and listen. Someone needs to go back and listen to Unplugged.
Okay.
I think if you listen to Unplugged, a lot of these things take on deeper meaning than you would get from just a random listen to or reading a critic response or whatnot. But I think it's visceral. I think it's a great album. Yeah. It is an absolutely great album, and I love it. It's one of my favorites.
So I don't have the whole album, right, on my computer list. Mm-hmm. So, I, because a couple of the CD tracks were bad when I ripped it, right? So I listened to it on Spotify. Celebrity Skin has like 222 million listens, and Awful has like 3.5. So the way we consume music is changing how things are listened to, and I think it's a shame because you need to listen to the whole album. So what happened after the album, right? Because this is the last of Hole in the 90s, so let's wrap up Hole to begin with. Everything. Post Celebrity Skin, the band toured extensively with Samantha Maloney on the drums as Patty Chapman, who departed before the album's release, as we mentioned. By 2001, internal tensions, lawsuit with the label, and shifting priorities led to Hole disbanding. Fourth album was briefly started around 2000-2001, but the sessions fell apart because, the band wasn't on friendly terms at that point, I guess.
Yes.
Demos have surfaced though in bootlegs, so they're out there of unreleased material.
Right.
So, Hole did reform in 2009 through 2012 around Courtney Love, but with brand new members. So Eric Erlandson didn't rejoin, Melissa didn't rejoin, Samantha didn't rejoin. They released Nobody's Daughter in 2010 before again disbanding in 2012 when Courtney started doing solo stuff.
Right. So, let's look at influence, right? So you've got, if you look at Paramore, Hayley Williams has created Courtney Love and Celebrity Skin as an influence in her blend of pop hooks and rock grit.
Yep.
Garbage, Shirley Manson cited Celebrity Skin as a touchstone for embracing a more polished, radio-friendly alternative sound late in the 90s. Critics have noted that Celebrity Skin paved the way for early 2000s pop punk, pop rock, that's very Avril Lavigne.
Yep.
So then you've got Skyfear and Lana Del Rey. Oh, Lord help. Later pop artists have referenced as Hole's blend of glamour, darkness, and California mythos as influential to those ladies' aesthetics. We could do a whole thing on Courtney Love and Lana Del Rey. They have...
We could do a whole thing on Courtney Love and...
We might have to do an episode on Courtney Beefs.
Yes.
Yes. Anyway. So, it had to be a right here, right now thing. But anyway... So, let's, on Courtney herself, post Celebrity Skin. After this, she followed her Golden Globe nominated role with People vs. Larry Flynt with Man on the Moon.
Which we've talked about also.
Right, well, alongside Jim Carrey. And she continued acting sporadically in the 2000s. She was in 200 Cigarettes and a couple other things. She released her solo album America's Sweetheart in 2004, leaning into a raw pop-punk sound. Though it had a troubled reception, America's Sweetheart goes back to Pretty on the Inside sound. Yeah. Her early 2000s period was marked by legal battles, rehab stints, and public controversies, which often overshadowed her music.
Yes. So in the 2010s, as we mentioned, she refocused on her acting and music. She toured solo. Hole was reunited briefly, and she appeared in TV shows like Sons of Anarchy in 2014.
And now she has moved to the UK.
Yeah.
And is a grandma. We have a baby.
Yes, but...
Yeah.
Courtney is a troubled soul. And a very controversial figure.
Yes. I tell the kids all the time that life is victimizing to us all, but we choose whether or not we're going to be a victim.
Correct.
You can't help what life does to you.
No.
And that is still the case with Miss Courtney. The thing is that life really just sort of just shoveled from the jump a bunch of, and I think, did she handle a lot of things poorly? Yes. However, with the amount of poo that life shoveled at her, she could have been a complete statistic. And in some ways, some will argue that she is, but she made something of herself from all of that. Again, her dad put acid in her bottle.
Yeah.
Which, if that doesn't tell you some stuff, I don't know what does. But, yeah.
And you know, my thing is that, you know, she's so talented.
Yes,
and
that cannot be denied.
And unfortunately, you know, her, I don't want to say actions, but her public perception has, you know, played a big part in her not
and overshadowing that completely.
Not getting the credit that she gets as an artist. Now, as far as her personal life goes, I don't know what the situation is these days between, you know, her family. But, and I'm not going to assume anything, and I'm not going to, you know, whatever. But
yeah,
she did not want to be a victim, but life victimized her.
A lot. And nobody can deny that she handled some things poorly.
Yeah.
But it's kind of one of those.
She's a tragic figure.
Yes, but it's also kind of one of those. If you had been through everything that she had been through, what could you have handled differently? I mean, there are certain things that you could have handled differently, but would you have handled it? Would you have survived?
Yeah.
I mean, because you could say whatever you want about Courtney, and there's a lot of things that can be said, but she is a survivor.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I credit her for that. So.
And that is it for Courtney Love.
Yes.
Pretty much, that's pretty much it for Courtney Love on here, when you think about it. You know, we've got
we'll find something else.
We'll find something maybe to talk about, but, you know, as far as her artistic endeavors, you know, the 2 major whole albums, 2 major movies that she did in this time period that showcase the talents, you know, that's going to be it for her. You know, we might do something on other podcasts and so on and so forth. But as far as her artistic endeavors, you know, I give her credit for her artistic endeavors, and I stay away from her personal life.
I gotcha.
And I think we all should.
Yes.
So, Sarah, thank you very much. I've got a few things that I need to get off my chest here in a minute. Don't worry, it's nothing negative. It's just what's coming up this week on on YouTube, and what's coming up next week, and so on and so forth. So
fabulous.
In the meantime, here's a classic commercial from all back in the day. Are you lonely? Are you struggling with the expectations of an out-of-touch boss? A disenfranchised customer base? Does the idea of going to work leave you in a cold sweat, with an anxiety attack not far around the corner? Does the boss's insistence that he has good shit for you to do grind your ever-loving nerves? Does the fallout of you walking away potentially affect not only you, but your new wife, who also works with you? Then why not try Maine Meats? That's right, our tough $2 steaks are made from only the worst cuts of meat you could possibly think of. We also have sausage, chicken, pork, duck, pheasant, and for our southern customers, squirrel, deer, roadkill, and of course, mystery meat. That's right, city boy, you don't want to know, and we don't want to tell you what that is you are grilling. All of our meats are hormone-riddled, antibiotic-fed, caged animals with quality so low that even the largest burger chains would think twice about using our meat. Use the special code WOW, this was an inappropriate segue, at checkout to get a second case for half off. Not the price, but the amount of meat that you get. Now you can pour your heart and soul out to your friends, all the while people are asking about your meat. Maine Meats, for when you need meat and coincidental awkwardness. A sincere thank you to Sarah for taking the time out of her busy schedule to take the time to talk with us. My guests are really, really busy. I feel like I'm inconveniencing them when they come on here, but I appreciate the time that they spend on here, no less. Sarah has been doing really, really well with her yarn business. She's really enjoying herself, and that's the main thing that I wanted her to do with this business. So yeah, I'm glad that she's doing it. If you want to check out what she's doing, go to twilightyarnco.etsy.com. That's where you'll find all of her wares and sundries. And yeah, there should be something you like on there. Give it an order. Christmas is coming up. It's getting cold as well. You know, you might need some warm stuff. I'm just rambling. Anyway, go check that out if you want to get the time to. If you get the time to. Next week, I'm joined by Greg Gregory's. We take a look at some children's game shows. Yes, we tried to do this last year, but it went down with the ship, and I could not get the backup file to work, so we're just going to go ahead and re-record it. I can't remember much about what we talked about, but we're going to be talking about some classic US game shows, a couple of Canadian ones, and of course the best and brightest from the UK. I loved children's game shows. I wish I could have gone on a couple of them. You'll hear me talk about them next week. I actually know somebody who went on one of the game shows, believe it or not. He was a neighbor of my cousin, and we will get into more of that when we talk about it, okay, when we talk about that specific show. Next Sunday is the Sunday after Thanksgiving. And if you know what that means, you're in the same boat as I am. We're going to be doing our traditional post-Thanksgiving live stream on Twitch. We'll be playing the third season of a game that started a mega franchise that split off into two and became even bigger after the split. We're going all the way back to the beginning. Championship Manager 94 End of Season Edition. Between the 1994-95 edition of the season, can we take a really, really poor Arsenal side and take them to the Premier League title? I think I can do it. But there's a lot of deadwood in that squad. How deadwood are we talking about? Pal Leederson, John Jensen, David Hillier, Neil Heaney, Jimmy Carter. Yes, legends of the team, let me tell you. But I think I can do it. So, yes. And if you like what you hear, go check out YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean. That's where you find the latest episodes of the podcast. If you're not listening to where you usually listen to. We're on Facebook and Instagram. And the website's not up to date, but I'm hoping next weekend to finally get it up and running and get everything on there that's supposed to be on there. That's becausemaybepodcast.com. And that's it for this episode. I want to thank everybody for listening. And for our American friends and family, I wish you a happy Thanksgiving. Don't put up with BS at the Thanksgiving table. Don't invite people to your house who you know you're going to disagree with and argue with, even if they are family. Maybe it's best not to argue. And may your turkey be moist and your granny not call it moist. Okay? That is it for this episode. Everybody have a good week. And until next weekend, take it easy. Bye.